If you are going to be fluent in English, then you need to be able to talk about anything at any time, any place. That's exactly what we are going to learn how to do in today's video. Today, we are going to get 10 random topics to talk about. Could be music, could be art, could be tying your shoe, could be anything. When we get a topic to discuss, first listen to my demonstration. I am going to talk about this subject, whatever it is, for 1 full minute, giving you an example of how a native speaker would speak on the spot or speak with no preparation about this topic. Then it will be your turn to speak. You are going to push yourself to talk, and fill up the full minute talking about the random subject. If you want to make this challenge even more difficult, you can try to use the target expression for each topic. If you're ready to give it a try, click like on this video, say hello in the comments, and let's jump in. Here we have our first random topic, reading at the beach. You can talk about weather while you read at the beach, activities, things that people are doing, sights, things you can see, company, who is with you at the beach. If this is something you have really done before, then you can talk about that, or maybe you can talk about whether or not this would be enjoyable for you. And here is our target expression. You can try and use this in your response for bonus points. Zone out. Zone out. What does it mean to zone out? If you zone out, you become so relaxed or focused that you forget everything else. Here is an example sentence. Whenever I read at the beach, I tend to zone out and forget all my worries. So this person, because they are so sucked into, so engrossed in reading at the beach, they tend to zone out. They become so relaxed that they forget about everything else. I will go first. Here's my 1 minute demonstration of how to speak on the spot about this topic. When I was a little kid, reading at the beach did not interest me whatsoever. I wasn't interested at all in reading at the beach. That's because I wanted to run along the sand. I wanted to make sand castles. I wanted to play volleyball. I wanted to go swimming with my little sister or my friends, right? Kids stuff is what I was interested in. But then I grew older. And now, as a 31-year-old adult, if I had a chance to go to the beach, I would love to read at the beach. I think that sounds really relaxing. I would love to zone out and forget about all my worries, all the stress of work and all of my responsibilities. I could forget about all of that for an hour and zone out and read at the beach. Okay, that was my demonstration. That was my 1 minute example of how to speak on the spot about reading at the beach. Now it's your turn. Try to push yourself to talk for the full minute. Don't stop talking. Even if you make a mistake, just keep going, and then we will move on to our next random topic. Go ahead. Topic 2 is Very random, painting a fence. Yeah, you guys know fences, right? If this is a house, a fence goes around the outside of the home, right? So painting a fence, adding some color to the fence. You can talk about a reason for painting a fence, the difficulty of painting a fence, the duration or how long it takes to paint a fence, the tools you would need, like a paintbrush, and compensation. Compensation. That means how much money would you get paid or want to get paid to paint a fence. The target expression here is a really useful one. Power through. If you power through something, then you push forward and keep going despite difficulties. So it's not easy to keep going, but you keep going anyway. Here's an example sentence. It was scorching hot, but I had to power through and finish painting the fence by evening. I'll go first. Here's my 1-minute demonstration. Go ahead and practice your listening skills as you follow along. Painting a fence does not sound exciting or appealing or interesting to me at all, and I'll tell you why. I remember when I was in college, I had a summer job. Yeah, I had a job, a part-time job over the summer where I helped restore or fix up an old house. Yeah, this old ranch-style home. And it was really hard physical work. I was out there in the sun, sweating all day long, whacking weeds, taking care of the trash, and yes, even painting parts of the house. Not the fence, but parts of the house. And it was so hard to power through that I told myself I would never do physical labor ever again. So here I am on YouTube trying to use my brain to make money instead. That was my demonstration. Now it's your turn. Take that minute and speak on the spot about painting a fence. If you can, try to use power through. Go for it. Our third random topic to speak on the spot about today is searching for lost keys. Now, I'm sure we've all been there at some point, right? You can talk about a real time when you lost your keys, or do you often lose things? Do you never lose things? Stuff like this. Here's a great target expression: in a panic. If you are in a panic, then you feel sudden, intense worry or distress. Here's an example sentence. I was in a panic when I couldn't find my keys, tearing my entire house apart looking for them. Searching for lost keys is something I used to do a lot in high school and in college because back then I drove a car. Nowadays, I live in a really big city and I take the subway or I take a taxi, so I don't have keys anymore. And the lock on my home is a digital lock. Yeah, I don't use a key to get into my home, so I haven't carried keys for a very long time. However, just because I don't keep keys on me anymore doesn't mean I'm not always losing things. And just 2 days ago, this is true, I lost my AirPods, my headphones, right? And I was looking for them in a panic. This is a true story. I found them in the washing machine. They'd been washed for 30 minutes, and I was in a total panic about this, but luckily they survived. That was my minute. As you heard, I got a little bit off topic, but that's okay. The most important thing is to keep pushing through that full minute. So now it's your turn. Give it a shot. Speak on the spot about searching for lost keys, and if you can, try to use "in a panic." Go for it. Dressing for a job interview is our next random topic. So here's a great target expression: dress to impress. I love this expression. It means to wear clothes that make a strong positive impression. Here's an example: I always dress to impress for an interview because first impressions matter. The first impression you make on someone, right? When you meet them for the first time and they start to form an opinion of you, that matters, right? So that's why it's important to dress to impress. You want to look good for that first impression, right? I'll go first. Here's my minute. So, thinking back across all of the different job interviews I've had, the last time I had an in person job interview was when I was in high school, as crazy as that is. I'm 31 now, and all of my adult jobs, I've interviewed for these jobs online, through Skype, through Zoom, through some kind of video call. And that's a funny thing because thinking about this idea of dress to impress, for my online interviews, I would dress to impress, but only from the waist up because that's all the interviewer could see, right? So from the waist up, I would have a nice button up, I'd wear a tie, I'd do my hair, look very put together for the interview, very put together, but from the waist down, it would be sweatpants and slippers. Okay, that was my 1 minute reply. Now it's your turn. Push yourself through that minute. Talk about this idea of dressing for a job interview. How should you dress for a job interview? Or what's your personal experience with dressing for a job interview? And don't forget, try to use this expression, dress to impress. Go ahead. Topic 5 is a really interesting one, backpacking in a new city. You guys know backpacking, right? Like young people go backpacking all the time in their late teens or early 20s. They put everything they're going to need in a big backpack and they go traveling, right? So, if you have some experience with backpacking, you can talk about that. If you want to go backpacking, you can talk about why, etc. Here's another great expression, wing it. Love this, wing it. What does it mean if you wing it? It means you do something without a detailed plan. Yeah, you don't make a bunch of plans beforehand. You just kind of go with the flow and wing it. I decided to wing it and explore the city without a map, discovering amazing hidden spots. So because they didn't have a map, they were winging it. They hadn't really prepared, right? Get ready to practice your listening skills. Here's my minute. Here I go. When I was in my early 20s, I loved the idea of backpacking. I was so into the idea of backpacking. And I did it a lot in Southeast Asia. I went backpacking in India for 2 months. I went backpacking in Sri Lanka. And I went backpacking in Vietnam, in Taiwan, in China, in Japan, Thailand, Philippines. I kind of went all over the place. And this was definitely my travel style. I loved to wing it. Yeah, I didn't like to do tons of research beforehand and plan out exactly what I was going to do in a new place. No, I like to go with the flow. I like to wing it. Yeah, I like to, we could also say, go off the cuff. Yeah, I like to go off the cuff and just let it be a surprise. That was my response. That was my minute. Now it's your turn. Talk for that full minute about backpacking in a new city and try to use wing it if you can. Go for it. Okay, here is a truly random topic, trying a bizarre flavor of ice cream. I don't even know if I've ever done this for real. Here's the target expression, take a leap. What does it mean to take a leap? It means to do something brave or risky, right? So here's an example. I decided to take a leap and order the chili pepper ice cream, which turned out surprisingly tasty. I do love ice cream. In fact, my very first job, the one I mentioned earlier, my first job when I was in high school was working at Haagen-Dazs, scooping ice cream and making ice cream shakes and stuff like that, And I remember my favorite part of the job was clocking out at night because I could take any ice cream I wanted with me. I could take some ice cream to go. And safe to say, there were no bizarre flavors of ice cream at Haagen-Dazs. Yeah, it was all normal. It was all delicious stuff. But even if Haagen-Dazs had a bizarre flavor of ice cream, I think I would have taken a leap and I would have tried it because I really think Haagen-Dazs can do no wrong. Everything they make is delicious, right? They can do no wrong, so I would have taken a leap and tried it. That was my reply. Now it's your turn. Take that minute. Go for it. If you guys are still with me, you are doing an amazing job. Take your hand, give yourself a pat on the back, my friend, because you deserve it. This is great speaking practice and great listening comprehension as well. So keep pushing, push all the way through. Look at this one here. Interesting. Writing a letter to your future self. Okay, so think about this. If you were going to write a letter to your future self, for example, right now I'm 31, right? Maybe I want to write a letter to 50-year-old Connor or 60, 70, 80-year-old Connor and ask some questions, right? What would I say? What would I want to ask? Here's a great target expression. Pour your heart into it. If you pour your heart into something, then you put genuine emotion and I would say effort into something. For example, when writing to my future self, I really poured my heart into it, sharing my hopes and fears. So this person is being very vulnerable. They are willing to show a bit of weakness. They're being vulnerable, making themselves vulnerable, sharing their fears, sharing their hopes. They're really opening up and they're really pouring their heart into it, right? If I was going to write a letter to my future self, what would I include in the letter? Notice how I'm using this conditional tense, right? If and would. If I was going to do that, I would want to know about my marriage. That's the first thing I would want to ask about. I'm newly married this year, and I would want to know, am I still with the person that I love, right? And how is the marriage? Do we have kids? Do we own a home? Are we happy? These sorts of questions. I'd be very curious about what life looks like at 50, 20 years from now. Did my YouTube hit 1 million subscribers? Am I still teaching English? What is my wife doing? If I have a kid, what is my kid interested in? These are the things I would include. No doubt I would pour my heart into the letter. Okay, that was my minute. Now it's your turn. Take that minute, push all the way through, go for it. Up next, we have getting a tattoo that you regret. So I don't know if you guys have tattoos, if you've gotten a tattoo that you like, or maybe you've gotten one that you kind of regret getting, right? But you can talk about your relationship to tattoos, okay? And here's a target expression: live with it. If you have to live with something, then you have to accept something you can't change. For example, I didn't like my tattoo anymore, but it was expensive to remove, so I decided to live with it. Okay, so this topic is really relatable for me because I have a ton of tattoos. I don't think I've ever shown them off in one of my videos before. I don't think I've ever rolled up my sleeves and shown them off, but yeah, I have full sleeves here, and I also have my legs done, and I have my torso done, my chest and my belly. There was a time when I regretted getting tattoos, and that was right at first. When I first got my first couple of tattoos, I didn't know if I could live with it. I was very upset. I felt like I'd made a mistake. But ironically, the more tattoos I got, the better I felt and the better they looked. I feel like maybe just one tattoo looks a little naked, but 1,000 tattoos mushed together can look really cool. So the more I got, the happier I was, actually. That was my 1-minute response. Now it's your turn. Do you have any tattoos you regret? Speak on the spot for 1 minute and try to use live with it if you can. Go for it. Here's a real bummer of a topic, breaking your phone screen. A real bummer of a topic, right? Has this ever happened to you? Do you take care of your phone? Do you worry about breaking it? Here's the target expression, freak out. What does it mean? If you freak out, then you react with extreme emotion, usually panic or shock. For example, I started to freak out the moment I saw the huge crack in my phone screen. Okay, so if I broke my phone screen, I'm not sure I would freak out about it. I'm not sure I would have a freak out, we can also say. But it would be a bummer for sure. That's because I have the newest iPhone. I spent a lot of money on it, which, guilty is charged. Guilty is charged. I spend a lot of money on Apple products, and I know that I could find cheaper phones and cheaper computers, but I just love that there are never issues with the Apple products that I use. With my MacBook, with my AirPods, I washed them in the washing machine, like I mentioned earlier in this video, and they were fine. So it just seems like the quality is really great, right? So if I broke my phone screen, I would be bummed, but I wouldn't freak out. I think everything would be okay in the end. That was my minute. Now it's your turn. Take that minute, talk all the way through, and guys, we just have one more after this. So push, push, push. Go for it. Now, before we jump into our final random topic, I'm going to give you guys just a minute to sit back, relax, and rest. While we take a little breather here, I'm going to tell you about channel membership. If you guys want to go the extra mile and support me, this would be a great way to do so. And you get a lot of benefits for doing so. You get PDFs for all of my videos. These are a really good way to review my lessons, right? You can watch one of my videos and then look at the PDF afterwards and go through it again to make sure you don't forget. If you're not reviewing my lessons, then unfortunately, you might not retain or remember as much as you could if you had the PDF, right? You also get hours of bonus videos, exclusive content that's just for members, and you get access to my English book club. So whether you like learning English through reading books and you want to join the book club, or you want hours of bonus videos, or you want PDFs for reviewing my lessons, or you just want to support me as your YouTube English teacher, you can get all of this for the price of a cup of coffee. It's only $5, and I would appreciate it so much. To all of you who are already members, I love you guys. You make my work possible. Thanks again. Here we are at the final random topic for today's Speak on the Spot video, selling old clothes online. Now, for me personally, this is going to be a tricky one because this is something I've never done. So I really need to improvise well and keep talking, right? The target expression is a really useful word, declutter. Declutter. To remove or get rid of items you no longer need. Yeah, extra stuff that it's just taking up space, right? It's just taking up space. It's in the way. You don't need it anymore. You can declutter and get rid of it. For example, I decided to declutter my closet by selling old clothes online and made some extra cash. Here I go. Here's my final minute. So, I have never sold clothes online. I've never sold anything online, to be honest. What I usually do is donate my clothes. If I am in the middle of decluttering, I want to declutter, I put some old clothes that I don't really wear anymore into a big trash bag and take them down outside my apartment building and put them in this big bin. Yeah, this big bin that people use to donate their clothes to the less fortunate or people who need them, right? Now, recently, I donated a lot of clothes because I've been trying out a new style recently. I have been trying a new style, which is kind of oversized clothes that are a bit too big, a bit baggy, right? A lot of my old clothes, they were too tight, too small. So I ended up decluttering, and getting rid of them. All right, guys, that was my response. Now it's your turn. This is your final opportunity to push, and speak out loud. Practice your speaking skills. Remember, no pain, no gain. Go for it. Guys, as a reminder, this is episode 1 of this series. I'm just trying it out. If you like it, make sure you let me know that in the comments. Leave me a comment saying more like this, more like this. And if you're in the middle of a study session, keep going. I'm going to put another one of my videos up on the screen. Go click on it and I'll meet you there. Let's go.